Let's take it a layer down, right? Because some of the folks, I think, we have some technical folks listening as well as non-technical, but let's be very specific. Um, Dimitri, from businesses, the things that they should truly do from an operational continuity, productivity,
Yeah.
what should they be doing right now? Not in 30 days, not in 60 days, not in 2021, when things hopefully smooth out. Like, what should they be doing technically right now?
Yeah, so there are several things that and I'll get to I'll start with the highly tactical, right, and then I'll kind of pop the stack and we'll talk a little bit more high level. So by now, if you don't have multi-factor authentication enabled on your either email, remote access, whatever cloud applications that you're using, you're absolutely insane. And I'm saying that as a vendor that does not sell multi-factor authentication, go to any of those other vendors, do that thing first, please. And I'll explain why in a little. I'll keep coming back to this of why this matters. Multi-factor authentication right now is the most basic hygiene that you can possibly have with remote work. This will this will protect you from phishing email, credential theft, which can lead to business email compromise, which can lead, or it can lead to actual, breaches, right? Because we're now working from home, we're relying on logging in. I'm logging in from my personal PC. How do you, IT administrator, know that I don't have a Trojan running here that's collecting all the keystrokes, right? Or maybe I'm, reused my password, and now that my password's floating out there. If you don't have, this is where MFA is your safety net, right?
Or if you're a
Yes, my
17-year-old
credentials are out.
hacker that's trying to break into Twitter.
Yeah, there you
But
go. Right, but it's MFA number one. Number two, and I saw this a lot in March. And if you did this, fine, whatever, water under the bridge, fix it right now. Right, we're kind of in the delinting phase. Phase one was get working. Phase two is delinting, like figure out, okay, well, that was not a good idea. Let's actually fix this now. I saw a lot of people just opening up ports to RDP, to remote desktop protocol. It's convenient. We'll just let people remote. Oh my God, please don't do this, right? I saw one of my favorite posts that I saw on a sysadmin forum and I use it in my presentations as a screenshot, and somebody's like, the hackers right now are licking their lips at all the hastily put up RDP instances, like on the internet. Like, you will be brute force. There are vulnerabilities. If you haven't patch, by the way, right? So there are tools to provide a level of indirection. So let me stop using philosophical terms. If you if you open up a port to remote desktop, right, then anybody on the internet can knock on that port. Turn on things like VPN, SSL VPN with multi-factor authentication, which now, like, you first authenticate to a gateway, and that gateway then takes you to the remote desktop. So there are no ports. You're not opening up ports directly to RDP. You're not exposing the naked RDP protocol to the internet. And while we're on the topic of VPNs, and this list is long, by the way, I'm just focusing on the top three right now, is patch your systems, right? And if you don't want to just listen to preaching advice, read all the government advice right now from NIST, NSA put out warnings. People took their VPNs off the shelf because VPN was dead. They plugged it back in, but it's not patched for 3 years. And you know what? There's been a number of vulnerability RCEs CVEs posted over the last 2 years. There was a a DEF CON talk last year specifically on exploiting VPNs. We know for a fact that nation state actors are exploiting vulnerable VPNs, but since the information is in the public, so are script kiddies, right? So if you have a VPN facing the internet and you have not patched it to the latest, greatest, whatever, right? You're playing with fire. You are so top
so it's
three
almost like if you're
MFA.
playing with fire, but you're kind of naked on the internet. You talked about, like, it's all bad, all
I'm
bad,
using all these analogies, right? So I
all
don't know what
bad.
you're all imagining at this point, right? Like naked people playing with fire on the, I don't know what, but the point is multi-factor authentication, right? Don't open up direct remote desktop. Patch your systems. Now, there's a long list of other things. We can get into some of the other more elegant solutions, more scalable solutions. But right now, looking for that's the delinting conversation. Like if you've done any of this or you haven't done any of this, do it now. Preparing for the future, right? Preparing for the next several months. There are kind of there's some pedestrian advice, sort of like, look, most of your vendors have some sort of plans or some sort of programs to help you. Like many people actually have like VPN appliances, for example. Most VPN appliances, most of those vendors, they have capabilities for like snow days, right? And initially those capabilities were built for like there's a blizzard for 3 days in New York. Okay, so yes, you don't need to license 10,000 or Jason, where you guys are, right? Like there's a blizzard, everybody works from home. Temporarily, we'll bump up the licenses to the maximum, but we're not asking you to pay for that, permanently for like 10,000 users or 1,000 users. Though there are those capabilities, we're in an extended blizzard right now, so those capabilities do exist, right? Talk to your vendors, find out. You may not necessarily need to buy new things. You might just be able to use what you already have, right? But plan for capacity. That extreme work from home experiment that we had, well, we're still in the middle of, may continue and most likely will continue based on where the trajectory is, right? So anyway, I'll save more advice for later, but I just want to hit those three very, very hard.
Clearly a subject you're not at all passionate about.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
Would you like to know
that.
more? Would you like to know more?
Jason, do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Even to add on to that a little bit. So we're at that phase right now where, I mean, obviously, just like Dimitri said, we've got to patch things, two-factor authentication, clean up the firewall ports. Let's unwind some of the things that might have been maybe not necessarily so much best practice. But,
exactly.
But not only there, take it to the next level. Now that those practice or those components are in place, go back into the optimization piece of it. VPNs and deployments and the way that these solutions are laid out. There's a lot of different things and technologies out there and how we can strategically place even VPNs at different locations and optimize them. And quite frankly, make redundancies in place, right? I mean, you need to, if these solutions are now what you're 100% relying on, probably a good idea to make sure that these solutions are a little bit more redundant than they were once in the past, where you were only using them every snow day or whatever it might have been. So definitely lots of opportunity there to help beef up that infrastructure.
And there might be listeners out there right now who are like wondering, like, VPNs, even we had an analyst note that came out like, we thought VPNs were dead, and it had kind of this Monty Python moment. It was like, I'm not dead yet, I'm getting better, so but there are organizations that still use them. But if you're listening and you are an organization that doesn't use VPN, totally fine. That's, there are cloud native. There are companies that have transformed fully to SaaS services. This is where MFA and CAS or CASB solutions come in, because now you're facing a completely different problem right now, right? You've got people working from home. They're logging in directly into Box, Dropbox, SFTC, etc., right? How do you secure that? So there is a set of solutions there as well, but the most important thing there is MFA, right? Just turning all that on. And I just want to make sure that the listeners don't think this discussion is only about VPN. VPN is useful, right?
Yeah.
But there's also cloud and SaaS component as well.